basically today I am streaming because it is my book's release. It'll be the third book that I've released. The first two are two books in a series, which is going to be a trilogy, I think, or I'm planning it to be a trilogy. But this is a standalone, and it is a horror novel. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it is called It's Only a Little Death, and the double meaning is intended. I designed a lot of it myself. The cover art of the two main characters, was done by someone named Jamie, and I'm not really sure how to link them here on like my Twitch or whatever, but I did credit them in the book, and I put their social media contact info in there so you could find them. And yeah, basically what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to read this thing out loud as long as I can, as much as I can, until my vocal cords hurt, until I need a break, or until my stream gets banned, because a lot of the content in this book is very spicy. I have never read spicy content out loud for people before, so I am very nervous. I'm going to be very, very shy. So I figure maybe I could just get started. I don't think there's a whole lot of people in here yet, but yeah, if you just want to listen in the background, or, you know, just don't do it while you're at work. Don't do it while you're in public, maybe, or put on your headphones. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to start first with the author's note that I wrote, because there are some content warnings. I probably should put those up on stream. Let me put the content warnings up on stream really quick. That's good. Got the content warning up, everything like that. However, I do need a second because I am very heat sensitive. It's very warm in here right now. I'm going to go get a fan, and I will be right back. Okay. Put that somewhere where you won't hear it as much. Okay, if you hear like a fan sound in the background, I'm sorry. So I am going to start reading It's Only a Little Death. In case you just joined, here's the book cover that I mostly designed, and the character art was done by Jamie. I have their information in the beginning of the book, and you can find them on Instagram and stuff there. I can't pronounce their social media handle, but anyway, let's see. Let's start. Oh god, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. This book is too spicy, but all right. Chapter 1. Everything became hazy as they... Whoops. I am echoing. Everything became hazy as they lifted themselves up from the stone floor. Their long black hair hung in their face, matted to their cheek and neck. When they reached up to pull it away, their brow furrowed as... Sorry. Can you hear me? I think so. Feel free to let me know if you can't hear me. You can. Testing. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good. All right. Chapter 1. Everything became hazy as they lifted themselves up from the stone floor. Their long black hair hung in their face, matted to their cheek and neck. When they reached up to pull it away, their brow furrowed as a thick, sticky substance clung to their pale skin. They observed their fingers through fuzzy vision. Blood. Thick clots of dark red blood. Oh gods. As they touched their neck again, their fingers became coated. Their hands slid along an open and puffy wound that squelched. What happened to me? You shouldn't worry like that. You'll just black out again. A pause, and to the side. They always do. The dark and slithery voice came from behind the human, and they turned to see a cloaked figure with midnight black skin, revealed by an open, ragged black robe. The hood shadowed the being's face, but from what could be seen, its skin shimmered like the night sky. It chuckled. Good, you're remaining conscious. Most humans just go mad for a while until the reality sets in. Who are you? The human asked. Actually, where in the hell am I? The deep, slithery voice hissed like mists of ages long past. Good guess, but you're not in hell. The underworld, more accurately. The being lifted a clawed hand and stroked its lips. Curious, though. You seem to have a stronger constitution than most, despite... The being observed the human for a moment. They wore an oversized gray knitted sweater over a white button-up, ripped skinny jeans, and black and white chucks, being rather innocent and oblivious. The human huffed. Innocent. Okay, I'll give you that one. But oblivious, rude. They frowned at the figure and fixed their glasses, only to realize everything was still fuzzy. I can't see anything. What's wrong with my eyes? Here, let me help you. The being reached toward the human's square black glasses, but stopped when they recoiled. It chuckled softly. I only mean to give you your sight back. You see, the rules are different down here. It tried again and swiped the black glasses from the human's nose. There. Wait, I'm half blind without... They paused. Those. The human spun around and realized their vision was clearer than it had ever been. Wow, this is real, isn't it? They turned back to the cloaked figure. You're real. This is all real. They looked down at their blood-covered hands. What happened to me? You're jumping ahead. Slow down, the being said as it threw the glasses behind it. They were swallowed by the shadows. A name would be a proper first step. Do you remember yours? The humans searched their mind. Everything froze as they stared off into space. My name? They took a deep breath, and a disturbing sensation of air seeping through the wound in their neck unsettled them. They shook it off. They couldn't let anxiety get the better of them now. They were dead, apparently, so fear had no purpose anymore. Oh, hello. The human looked up at the figure and took all of it in with new clarity, and their stomach clenched. The long robe that dragged along the floor hung open with nothing underneath, although the body lacked a defined sex. They swallowed hard and tried not to stare. The cloaked figure noticed and laughed. Stare all you like, I'm not offended. It moved around the human and swiped a black claw across the injury on their neck, and then brought it to its lips. Its hellish red eyes glowed beneath the hood. Ooh, this is some tea, isn't it? The way your life ended was dramatic. The human turned to stare into its eyes, annoyed. Why don't you tell me your name first? You're my guide, right? That's why you're here. Perhaps. The cloaked being tilted its head slightly to the side and moved its eyes down, and then back up the human's form. Charon. That name seems familiar. The human's eyes widened. A memory surfaced. Charon, the guide to the underworld. Charon smiled. The one and only. My name is... The human's mind drew a blank before they decided to test the only words that came to mind. Deception. Deception? No, that isn't a name. Breathless. No. They growled in frustration. Breathless deception. Huh. Charon's eyes lit up again. That sounds very enticing, doesn't it? I can't remember my name, all right? The human huffed and hugged himself. Why don't you tell me? You should know, shouldn't you? Charon shook its head. Now I can't do a thing like that. It's not my job to recover your memories for you. You'll have to do that yourself if you ever want to truly move on. Then what do I do? The human slumped in defeat. Being dead, as far as they knew, resulted in peace and rest, not this supposed journey to recover memories. It sounded like an awful lot of work, which the human wanted nothing of. They were tired and felt it in every part of their body. Dying was probably exhausting. I could give you a name, Charon teased, but it means so much more coming from you. Let's start with your identity. How would you like me to address you, besides a name? The human had a much more confident answer to that one. A recovered memory. They, them, if you mean pronouns. I don't think I have a gender, if that makes sense. Perfectly, Charon said. Now, as for your name, what feels right to you? The human searched again. I don't know. Should I just pick one? The guide nodded. That would be wise. You can't go around without a name. It'll be easier for your journey to come, too. Most humans just go with a keyword that pops into their head, something that rings true. The human rubbed their fingers across their neck again. A spark. Silver. Silver Sharp. Yes, that feels right. Charon clapped. Well done, Silver Sharp. Welcome to the Styx. It turned to part the musty fog, and behind the mist was a cold blue river with a wooden boat that had a lantern hanging from a pole. A tunnel system made of stone surrounded everything, and whispers of the dead could be heard in the distance. Silver stepped toward the boat and crouched as they looked down at the water curiously, but they were jerked back when a pair of wide eyes found theirs. Something's down there. A shimmering clawed hand squeezed Silver's wrist where it had tugged them back. Yes, souls. Not everyone's lucky enough to make it down here in one piece. They're all lost. Forever. Silver swallowed hard despite their mouth being dry, and it caused the split skin around their neck to squelch again. They grabbed their throat. Sorry, but is there something I can use to, They made a rapping motion with their fingers. Charon patted their shoulder and approached the boat, beckoning to them. Yes, as soon as we reach your destination, someone will fix you up however you'd like. It wouldn't do to have you distracted. It took Silver's hand as they stepped onto the boat, and the human paused. Charon's eyes flashed. Speaking of distractions, there's one little thing I require from you before we get moving. And this is where I'm going to have difficulty reading. Because, the spice. So, forgive me if I start doing this, because I am going to probably edit some of it. I tried not to use a lot of foul words, because, yeah, I try to limit those in my writing, but let's get on with it, I guess. Silver tugged their hand back. I have nothing. I'm dead. What can I give you? Charon stepped farther into the boat and sat on one of the wooden benches. It leaned back on one hand and gestured toward Silver. I require payment to cross the river, you know. If you knew who I was, surely you knew that. Right, Silver said with unease. So how does that work? Am I stuck here if I can't pay you? The guide chuckled and held an arm out in a welcoming gesture. Oh, money isn't the only option. I realize the dead have limited resources, and not everyone dies clinging to something of value. There are other currencies I deal in. The robed figure beckoned for Silver to come closer as its body revealed just what it had in mind. Oh god, how am I gonna read this part? Something grew from between its legs where there had been nothing before. Silver froze on the spot and shook their head. No, gods no. Are you serious? You're messing with me. This is a sick joke, isn't it? Charon shook its head and beckoned with more urgency. While you may have an eternity to mull over the finer details, I have other duties to attend to. So do you want to cross the river with me, or swim through it and find your own way? As Silver opened their mouth to respond, Charon held up a finger to silence them. Choose carefully, Silver. The lost souls in this river will be more than eager to drag you down with them. I'm not sure that's a fate you would want. That definitely sounded much worse. Silver looked at Charon again. They glanced at the shadowy and shimmering thing swelling between its legs, and they realized it wasn't the worst thing that could happen. Most people expected to be at heaven's gates to be judged, or in hell to burn in a lake of fire, not debating whether they should sit in Charon's lap. Okay, Silver said before they could think too much about it. They were surprised to find themselves quite calm with the whole thing, and they noticed, finally, that their heart wasn't even beating. They weren't sure if they could feel pleasure either, but it would be worth it anyway. Yeah, I'm struggling with this a little more than I thought I would. This is one of those things where it's like, oh, imagine everybody's naked when you're talking, but that would make this 10 times worse. So I'll just imagine that literally nobody is there. And we'll see what happens. I'm going to try to self-edit as much as I can to make this bearable. A spark. They furrowed their brow. Have they ever had the chance to do that with anyone in life? They certainly weren't opposed to the idea. They blinked. Deception. Breathless. I need a clear answer, Charon said impatiently. This is your decision. I'd like to get going, though, if you don't mind. Silver nodded and stepped farther into the boat, surprised that it hadn't rocked. Yes, I'm willing. They paused awkwardly in front of a shimmering body that awaited them. What was proper to do first? Maybe they truly had been a virgin before they died. Charon watched with amusement before grabbing Silver's jeans and expertly flicking the button open with one hand. There's no need for formalities if that makes you feel better. This is a transaction, and it's a good introduction to the way things are going to work down here. Excuse me, what? Silver said, stunned. They allowed Charon to tug their pants down past their thighs. I don't know if I like the way that sounds. Oh, don't worry. You'll always have a choice. No one will make you do anything you don't want. Just like me. Here we go. This is the challenge. How to censor this. Charon slipped 2 fingers between Silver's thighs and tucked one just barely between you-know-where. That wasn't quite prepared yet. It sighed. Right. We need to get you back online after the shock. Death is quite a shock, after all. Silver bit their lip and stood awkwardly as Charon's... More censorship. Silver bit their lip and stood awkwardly as Charon's fingers slid up to form a V at either side of their you-know-what. The cool, shimmering fingers worked at a rhythm until... until Silver felt a spark, and then another as something came alight within them. A sound of surprise left their lips, and as something crept higher and higher that bloomed in their chest, the sensation of their nerve endings coming back online brought back a semblance of life. Ah, there it is, Charon mused as it slipped its fingers you-know-where. What, did you think you would become a walking corpse? Yes, actually. Silver gasped as they squeezed their legs together on impulse. Too much. The feelings were too intense too soon. Charon pulled its fingers back and grasped both of Silver's thin thighs. I guess I could say that. And then it buried its mouth between their legs. Silver placed a hand on the hooded head as their legs shook, and they moaned embarrassingly loud as a cool tongue slithered below. Their heart began to beat again, and while they didn't grow warm from the swirling in their stomach, there was an urgency threatening to burst forth. They managed to speak when Charon pulled back to give them a breather. I was a virgin when I died, I think. I'm sure of it now. I've never done this before. Interesting, Charon mused. But you desired it. Yes, I think I did. Silver realized their mouth had become wet once more and swallowed, ignoring the uncomfortable feeling around their neck. I just never got the chance. I was always... They paused. I was shy. Awkward, more like it, Charon teased. Shall we continue? Yeah, we should probably get going. Silver took a deep breath and stepped over Charon's lap. Clawed hands gripped their thighs and guided them down, and Silver closed their eyes in preparation as they felt... Something nudged them. Sorry, you'll have to guide me. Shy, even in death, Charon chuckled. It rocked its hips as it worked itself slowly inside, and it continued to ease Silver down until they sat on its lap. Silver bit their lip as their body fell into the motions, and they circled their hips as a sensation built low in their stomach that made them feel alive again. Charon gripped... Can I say that? Charon lifted them, and they moved faster as they bounced on its lap. The two bodies moved together as they came closer and closer to the edge, and Silver moaned freely into the dead halls as 2 fingers toyed with them. Their mind expanded as they came, and another memory sparked to life as their body twitched with pleasure. A sultry smile. I do have a surprise for you. Really? I just think you should know first. I've never done this before. A chuckle. I hope you don't mind that I have. Silver gasped as they came back to reality. They looked down at Charon, whose eyes glowed dark crimson from beneath its hood. It watched them with a wicked smile as it realized what had just happened. You're starting to remember, Charon said huskily. Good. You're making more progress than most so early. Silver's legs wobbled as they tried to stand, but Charon helped them onto the bench as it straightened its robe and grabbed an ancient wooden oar. Its body was sexless once more. There's hope for you yet. No, I mean, It's awkward, but I can do it. I mean, I wrote the thing, and I feel like if I wrote it, I should be able to read it. But, you know. All right. Where was I at? Okay. Hope? Silver huffed a laugh as they made themselves decent. What hope is there for a dead person? I'm not getting my life back. You're right about that, yes. Charon rowed along the river, and the boat entered a dark tunnel that was pitch black, save for the lantern casting haunting shadows upon the walls. You won't get your life back. Who you were is dead and gone as far as the people who knew you were concerned. It became silent as it rowed and fell into thought. Maybe. It mumbled under its breath. Just curious, Silver said as they leaned forward with their elbows on their knees. Has anyone ever escaped? Like, been able to go back? Near-death experiences and all. Interesting question, Charon said as it guided them out of the dark tunnel and back into the ethereal blue glow of the river. You're asking because you wonder if you're having a near-death experience right now. It's possible, right? Silver asked as they felt their neck again. No, it couldn't be. With an injury like that, it would be impossible to survive. Charon stopped rowing for a second before steering them down another tunnel. You still haven't recalled how you died. Silver shook their head. No idea. I just have a few words that come to mind, and I can make a guess, but I'm lost. No, you aren't lost. Don't say that, Charon said. You never want to be lost down here. In fact, I think you've got it together more than you realize. It fell into thought again and mulled over something before nodding. The boat was guided to an aged wooden dock, and Charon stepped onto a frayed surface. There were a few buildings behind it. One in particular appeared to be more ornate than the rest. Others had multiple windows and stories, and a few figures moved around in them. Oh, why not? Charon said as it came to a conclusion and turned to Silver. Its eerie eyes glistened again. I'll make a deal with you. I haven't done this in a while, and I don't just offer a deal to any human, but I think you're capable. Silver stepped out of the boat, perplexed. Okay, what's the deal? Since time doesn't exist down here like it does up there, I can't really give you an ultimatum in that regard, but if you're able to recover your memories quickly, and you recall the way you died and the events leading up to it, I may offer you a rare chance. Silver's breath caught in their throat. To return? You'd let me return? In a way, yes, Charon said carefully. I can't reveal too much to you, but I will give you the chance to avenge your death. My death needs avenging. Silly question, Silver realized. They doubted they slit their own throat, and it would be a bit difficult to have an accident that would cause something like that. Charon nodded. Mm-hmm. You can't have your life back. I couldn't do that for you anyway, but I can give you this. What's the point if I can't live again? Silver fell into step beside the robed figure as they approached the ornate building. White pillars rested at either side as they stood before tall double doors. Souls that regain their memories sometimes... Sorry about that. I stutter. Souls that regain their memories sometimes become stuck because of what you'd call unfinished business, Charon said. Many of them spend eternity in a purgatory of their own design, reliving their deaths over and over again because they couldn't find closure for the rage they uncovered. You, though, Charon smiled, although it was difficult to make out. You show promise, and maybe I like you a little bit. Silver bit back a smile. So you'll let me find closure to save me from an eternity of misery? Charon nodded. Yeah, if you're up for the challenge. It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. It opened the double doors and stepped inside. A dimly lit office with a waiting room remained silent, save for the snapping keys of a typewriter behind a glass window. A pale blue hallway that stretched for an eternity was on the other side. A sickeningly wan woman with a brown beehive hairdo looked over at them and frowned. Charon, your job is out there, not here. It sighed and nudged Silver forward. I've spent too much time with you already. It then whispered inside their head, but I might sneak in to see you later. Silver's body lit up, but Charon quickly whispered again as it crept out the doors. I didn't mean for that. It chuckled. I've created a monster. So that is the... that is the first chapter. Well, let me see. Can I... How do I... Spam. It was a matter of time before I got spam in the chat. So let me handle that. How do I handle that? Here we go. That is not it. Oh my goodness. I had it before, and now I don't. Okay. There we go. I found it. You really got to go through a lot to get this whole damn thing going. Banhammer. All right. Yeah, it is not easy to read this kind of stuff. It gets easier as you go, though. I mean, it's getting easier for me. I don't even know. Bot views are, I don't even know what they gained from that. Like, maybe people will be desperate and... hair in my face. Maybe people will be desperate and click. I do not know. Sorry if I just slurped on the microphone. So, I'm going to get to chapter 2 now. Alright. We're going to have a break from the spicy stuff for a hot minute, which is good for me. Chapter 2. This is your room, the sickly woman with the brown updo said. She handed a brass key to Silver before wandering over to a large window, and then pulled aside blue velvet curtains. Silver, I cannot say their names sometimes. Silver joined her and looked out over an indoor complex. A fake courtyard with strange luminescent fauna rested in the middle, and the windows in the other parts of the building surrounded it with some shadows moving around behind them. One in particular caught Silver's eye, and they watched as an arm raised with something pointed. It plunged into the shadow before they quickly turned away. The woman stood by with her arms crossed. You'll see worse things, get used to it. She adjusted her red cat's eyes glasses and scrutinized Silver before continuing. I'm not sure what Charon did or didn't tell you. Not much, I'm sure. Right. Silver hugged themselves as they sank down onto a bare queen-size mattress. They slipped their shoes off to feel plush green carpet beneath their white socks. It felt musty, but they paid it no mind. The air in general was damp everywhere, likely due to the mist from the river Styx just being outside. A soul of few words, I see, the woman said as she wandered over to a desk and picked up a brown leather diary. A silver button held a flap in place to keep it closed, and a pen made of bone was slipped in between. This is the most important thing you now own. Don't lose it. Silver took the book and opened it, and it was completely blank. Despite the cool yet humid atmosphere, the cream-colored paper was dry with a bit of texture. They closed it once more and observed the cover, surprised to see their name forming in the center as if it had been burned there. Silver Sharp. Interesting name. Chosen, I'm sure, the woman droned. Listen up, kid. There are some rules. I'm an adult, Silver said, annoyed. Please don't call me a kid. Another spark. Something resonated in the back of their mind, but they could barely catch it. A number. 2, 1, 21. Yes, that felt right. I'm 21, they said. The woman narrowed her eyes and her rouged lips frowned. I'm way older than you'll ever imagine, so you're a kid to me. Now, the rules. She approached a closet and pulled out a stack of sheets that were tie-dyed blue and green, and then tossed them into Silver's lap. A basic green blanket made of rough cotton followed. Keep your space tidy, she continued. If you get the urge to do what you saw through the window, don't. Or at least, make sure you put something down for the convenience of our cleaners. Silver cringed. They really had no desire to do that. What would it even accomplish anyway? The dead couldn't die any more than they already had. There's a gnat in my face. You probably won't need sleep, the woman said, but some like to at least think things over. And you'll be doing a lot of thinking. It's what the diary's for. as it's part of your ticket out of here. Silver perked up. Out of here, like, to move on. The woman snorted. Yes, but it's not that easy. First, it's your only way out of this room. You'll need to form a basic identity and come up with a plan on how you're going to recover your memories. Think of it like therapy, but for the afterlife. The woman looked around to make sure all was in order and caught Silver staring oddly at the sheets. The pattern hides the stains. I don't want to know, they said uneasily and set the blankets aside. Silver looked out of the window again. It was eerily quiet, save for distant voices wandering the halls, and they didn't mind it so much. It was at least a place to rest after the initial shock, and they hoped that when everything finally had time to sink in, they didn't have a complete meltdown. Your peer support will arrive shortly, the woman said as she walked to the front room. He'll be able to tell you more about your action plan and help you get your bearings. A knock caused the both of them to look toward the entrance, and the woman took a deep breath. That's him. Good luck, she added with a bit of venom before opening the door. A man in his mid-20s, wearing short cut-off shorts and a vintage crop top with an MTV logo on it, stood in the doorway. Upswept purple hair made him look paler than he was, and his eyes were the ghastly white of the dead. He slipped his hands into his pockets before brushing by the secretary and giving her a dirty look. Silver realized there was an ashen blue tint to his skin. They stood from the bed to not be rude. You must be peer support. I'm Silver Sharp, I know. His voice was harsh and filled with impatience. Not the most original name. Kinda cringe if you ask me, but it works. Better than Rabies Froth. Rabies Froth, Silver grimaced. That one's pretty obvious, isn't it? Too obvious, the man said. Leaves nothing to the imagination. Anyway, I'm Ifris, and I'm supposed to help you figure yourself out so you can get out of here. He held out a hand, which Silver grabbed in greeting, but Ifris smacked it away and shook his head. The diary, please. We're not buddies here. This is something I have to do, so let's just get it over with. Geez, fine, Silver said. It's not like I want to be here either. I didn't choose to die, and I didn't choose you to guide me. The word guide brought back memories of Charon in the boat, and Silver tried to hide their bashful expression. Ifris sighed as he flipped through the empty book. Great, a blank slate. Nothing at all. Hey, I just got here, Silver said a little too loudly. Sorry if I'm upset, but I literally just woke up on the River Styx. I had to pay Charon. Ifris couldn't help but bite stuttering. Ifris couldn't help but bite back a smile. That is hard to say. Ifris couldn't help but bite back a smile. And now I'm here in this small room with vague instructions and, well, you, Silver finished. They felt their neck again as they remembered the wound. And this. Charon said I could get something to cover it up. A bandage or something. Ifris stifled another laugh at the mention of Charon's name. Why? It gives character, he teased. Seriously, please. For the first time since they'd woken up, Silver's emotions started to bubble over. Now that things were sinking in, as was forewarned, even the smallest of things made them feel desperate. Desperate for what, they couldn't figure out, but the emotions rising within them weren't good. They had to hold it together so they didn't end up like the shadow on the other side of the complex. Please, just get me a bandage or something, they said. I'm not asking for much. Ifris finally dropped their tough exterior and tossed the book on the bed. Fine. I'll get you something to wrap that with if you just make your bed. A simple task even you can handle, okay? Silver nodded. Also, start listing down the things you've figured out so far on the first page of the diary. It doesn't have to be detailed. Keywords, numbers, whatever are fine. Start by writing your chosen name. He turned to leave but paused. Oh, and just because it's a diary doesn't mean it's private, so please leave whatever happened between you and Charon out of it. Silver's hands covered their face. They just wanted to crawl beneath the blankets and disappear. I don't know what you're talking about. Shh. I was gonna say sure and Silver at the same time. That worked. Sure, so... Words. Sure, Ifris quipped. Anyway, be right back. Try to hold it together while I'm gone. The door closed, and Silver stood quietly in the center of the room, unmoving. Their heart beat at a steady pace, but it increased as they became quietly catatonic. I'm dead. I'm here in the underworld, and I've just been assigned peer support for some weird afterlife therapy program. I had sex with Charon in order to even get here. What is happening? Should I try to wake up? Yes, this is just a dream. A lucid dream I let get too far out of hand. Silver finally lifted their hands from their face only to slap themselves across the cheek. The sound echoed off the damp walls, and they realized, once more, their face also had an injury they'd forgotten. Their hands were still crimson with dried blood from earlier, and they figured they should at least wash up. A few counters and cabinets sat in the corner of the room, and in the middle was a sink with a mirror above it. Silver avoided the reflective surface as they kept their eyes on their feet, not ready yet to see the reality. The water was cold and didn't have an option for warmth, but it was good enough to wash the red down the drain. They rubbed their hands as clean as possible without soap, and they realized they would have to look into the mirror to clean their face. As they glanced to the side, they noticed a stack of green cloths, the same institutional green as the blanket. Someone in charge really enjoyed the decorative charm of a hospital. Just look up. How bad could it be? I don't even remember my own face, so whatever I see will be just fine, right? Silver took a few shaky breaths. Their hands curled into fists on the white speckled countertop as they worked up the courage. You're dead, you dummy. What is there to be afraid of? Your own reflection? Give me a break. Silver closed their eyes, took another preparatory breath, and with a racing heart, they opened them again as they lifted their gaze to look into the mirror. What felt like a painless blow to the head sent them reeling, and everything faded. Scene break. Scene break for break. I don't do a lot of talking, so... My vocal cords are not used to being used this much. Silver awoke lying in a freshly made bed. When their vision cleared, they jumped up in a panic and scanned the room with their eyes. As they turned their head, they noticed the sensation of a freshly applied bandage wrapped around their throat, and when they felt their face, a small square bandage stuck to their right cheek. Where am I? They mumbled. Here we go, Ifris breathed. He left the desk chair and sat on the side of the bed. Do you remember me? Silver jerked their head in his direction and became mute with fear. Ifris tried again. You don't have to speak, just nod or shake your head. Nod for yes, shake for no, in case you forgot that too. Silver nodded. Do you remember me? Ifris asked slowly. Silver hesitated before nodding. At least there's that much. Do you remember your chosen name? Silver looked off into the distance as they briefly dissociated, but then quickly returned to Ifris. They nodded. The panic started to abate that had trapped them in a state of delirium. Ifris leaned over to grab the diary and placed it in Silver's lap. You didn't do what I asked you to, he said, so I went ahead and jotted down some things while you were out. It was really stupid to look in the mirror by yourself, by the way. Silver nodded and opened the book as they trembled. On the first page was a list of basic information. Chosen name, Silver Sharp. Significance, unknown. Peer support, Ifris. Arrived with Charon. Injuries to the neck and right side of face. Patched up. Age appears to be early 20s. Pronouns, they, them. If there's anything else you want to add that you can think of right now, best to do so, Ifris said as he stood and approached the sink. He dampened a green cloth and approached the bed to wipe Silver's forehead, but they jerked back. Ifris held his hands up in a gesture of peace, and then sat back on the bed after hanging the cloth over the desk chair. Just trying to help. What happened? Silver finally uttered. Relief washed over Ifris' face. Thank fuck, I thought we'd have to start writing back and forth. You passed out after looking in the mirror. The mirror. Silver blinked hard and shook their head but greatly regretted it as the world spun. My face wasn't my face. Ifris quirked an eyebrow. I'm pretty sure your face is your face, friend. He stood and held out a hand. Since you already decided to dive in head first, no time like the present. Especially now that I'm here. He waited for Silver to take his hand and help them become steady on their feet. I guess this will be our first exercise together. Seeing your face again for the first time always sucks, but the more you do it, the easier it will get. Silver nodded and froze as Ifris pulled them toward the mirror. They closed their eyes and shook their head as they wavered. No, they mumbled. Yes, come on, Ifris ground out. This is necessary and we're going to do it whether you're ready or not. It's your fault in the first place. I wanted to ease you into it, but now there's no point. Rip off the bandage. Silver whimpered as they were pulled forward and stumbled across the carpet as they tripped, landing them right in front of the mirror as they caught themselves on their hands. They refused to look up. It was too unsettling to see a face attached to their own head that looked foreign and ghastly. They shook their head as cool, wet streaks slid down their cheeks. "You're finally facing reality after being in denial," Ifrit said quietly. "The emotions will be intense, and they'll ease over time, but you'll be fine and can start the real work if you can get past this first step." He stood behind Silver and placed his hands on their shoulders. "I'm right here behind you. Just look up slowly, maybe take it in bit by bit." Silver sniffed and gathered their resolve. With trembling limbs, they slowly looked up into the oval mirror. Their hearts skipped a beat and their eyes widened, and they felt the sensation approaching of another blackout, but Everest's voice boomed close to their head. "Hey, you're not blacking out on me again," he said. "You have to face yourself because this is your new reality. This is home now, and there is no escaping it. Believe me, I've tried." Everest trailed off before looking into the mirror with Silver again. "It doesn't look as bad anymore, see?" He slid a hand beneath Silver's chin to keep them from looking away again. "No more creepy injuries, just you." Silver's breath shook as more tears flowed. They looked fully into their own eyes that had turned a pale shade of pink. Memories came flooding back as their legs grew weak, and they stifled a sob. "They're not the right color," they said. "My eyes, these aren't my eyes." "They're definitely your eyes, Silver." Everest let go of their face but remained close. "Weird things can happen when you end up down here, like a change in eye color for one. At least yours don't make you look like a walking corpse." Everest snorted a laugh. "How do you think I felt when I looked into the mirror and saw these freaky-ass ghost eyes?" Silver sputtered a laugh between the tears and blinked them away, only for more to come. They finally looked away. "I remember now. My eyes were hazel." Everest poked Silver's back with something, and when they turned around, the leather diary slid into their hands. "Lesson 1, Everest said. As soon as you recall something, write it down. Don't forget to do that because nothing is certain down here, not even recovered memories. It's easy to..." Everest paused. He looked off to the side with unease and then shook his head. "Just write down whatever you recover as soon as you can." Silver leaned over the counter to jot down a short description of their current appearance, and then what they remembered of their face when they were alive. "Easier to what?" they asked. The tears had finally stopped. "Nothing," Everest said flatly. Just started rambling. Thank you. My cat is starting to have a fit, and my ADHD is starting to, rear its ugly head. So, the whole time I'm reading, my brain is over here thinking about something else I need to do, and I have discovered that at least I can multitask. When my brain is wandering, I can still read, but I'm not taking it when I'm reading, which is partly, I think, why I started stuttering. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh, I've been going for 56 minutes already, kinda. I'm gonna try to ignore my cat. Well, honestly, I used to do voice acting, voice recording for my own stuff ages ago, and I just kind of got used to reading on camera. But my face wasn't actually on camera because I was talking through an avatar, which I kind of considered doing today, but I didn't feel like setting up the motion capture and it doesn't like my glasses. But, yeah. Alright, let me see. How long is chapter 3? I don't think it's very long. No, it's not very long. Alright. Chapter 3. As Silver stared at the ceiling from where they lay on their back in bed, the sound of a hissing mist alerted them to the front of the room. A figure formed, and the shimmering skin beneath a long black robe was unmistakable. Charon! Silver sat on the edge of the bed as the guide drifted over to them. It held a finger to its lips. "Shh, I'm not supposed to be here." "Then why are you here?" Silver asked with a smile. I'm not really in a good mental space to fool around again." "That was a transaction," Charon sighed. "Like I told you, I'm not visiting for that." It fell into the desk chair and noticed the leather diary, and it flipped through the pages to see a few had been filled in. You're starting to remember more things. Good. I still don't know how I died, though, Silver said as they fell onto their back. I finally saw my reflection, and the injuries, too. Still drawing a blank. You will for a while, I imagine. Charon set the diary aside. That's why our deal will take some time to accomplish. Right. Silver sat up again. I forgot about that. Charon pointed to the diary. Don't write anything about that in here. That's one thing you can never do. Keep our interactions out of it. For a minute, I thought my stream was frozen, but it wasn't. Understood, Silver said. I didn't write about the transaction either. Ifris, my peer support. Oh, I know who Ifris is, Charon said impatiently. Of course you'd get him out of everyone here. Must be a busy time since he's not anyone's first pick. Silver grew uneasy and approached the window to look out over the courtyard again. It was empty where it had been scattered with other souls before. You don't like him? They asked carefully. No, not really. Charon stood to join Silver. He's an irritable pain who only helps out around here because he has no choice. He was once like you, freshly deceased and confused. The only difference is that he didn't even care that he was dead. Silver furrowed their brow. You mean he wanted to die? Charon nodded. I'm assuming. It all could have been avoided if he just kept away from the wrong people. Hey, shut your whore mouth, Ifris spat as he entered the room. I am sorry, I laugh at that. I laugh at my own stuff, and it's pathetic. It's not even that funny. Charon turned and smiled. Ah, I believe that's my line for you. After all, you were the whore in life, weren't you? Ifris narrowed his eyes. At least I don't fuck souls to exchange for a ride across the river. In exchange for a ride across the river. Charon shrugged. I don't do that every time. That's only an option if they have nothing else to give. And you know some souls do. Charon drifted over to Ifris and its eyes glistened. You had something very dear to give up. Something that landed you right down here. You gave it up because there was no way for you here if you didn't. Ifris clenched his jaw and stood rigid as Silver watched on quietly. Don't. I still have them, you know, Charon taunted. It reached into its robe and pulled out a clear orange container that rattled. Will you beg me for them again? Ifris grabbed Charon's robe and growled. Fuck off or I'll tell them you're in here. Please don't fight, Silver said. They were already anxious enough. They didn't need this too. I don't really want to deal with this right now. I'm stressed as it is. Yeah, see, Ifris said, you're interfering with my client's progress. No, it isn't, Silver interrupted again. Can we all just calm down for a second? Charon and I were about to discuss something important. Then talk about it in front of me, Ifris said defiantly. He released Charon and backed away. The guide stood in silence for a moment before sighing and sitting on the edge of the bed. All right, I suppose it doesn't matter if you know. I've got secrets of yours and you have mine. Besides, you could probably use a bit of excitement in this dull place. If you hear scraping and scratching and digging in the background, that is my cat, who is in the bathroom, because if he wasn't, he would be tearing my house apart because I'm not paying attention to him. Ifris was agreeable to that and dropped into the desk chair as Silver joined Charon on the bed. Anyway, Charon continued, Silver, are you still interested in our deal? They looked down at their feet shuffling on the carpet. I think so. It'll be a while before I can take you up on it, though. I couldn't even handle seeing my own face. That's hard for anyone, Ifris chimed in. What's this deal, then? Maybe I can help you get there sooner so I can get this out of my hair. Charon hummed and thought before speaking further. Yes, maybe you can. This institutional stuff is nothing more than regulation, so surely it wouldn't matter if Silver... Charon trailed off as it walked fingers in midair. Ifris shook his head. Oh, no. No, I'm not doing that. I already got my ass handed to me the last time I tried to get out of here, let alone with a client. Wait, you want to break me out of here? Silver asked. I don't mind this room, really. It's quiet and I feel safe. I wouldn't know what to do out there. You wouldn't be alone, Charon said happily. Ifris is going with you, and I'll pop in every once in a while. Ifris' eyes widened. How in the hell do you expect a client to just disappear from the roster? And what makes you so sure that I won't just ditch this one the first chance I get if we succeed? Silver frowned. Gee, thanks. Am I really that unbearable? It has nothing to do with you, Ifris assured them. Seriously, it's not personal. I'm just not a fan of carrying others' baggage. I have my own reasons for wanting to get out of the system. It's not forever, Charon chimed in. Just long enough to help speed up the process for Silver. And if you ditch them, I snitch. Of course, Ifris ground out. All right, whatever. As long as I get to stretch my legs, I'm all for getting out of here for a bit. What's the deal, and what's the plan? Wait, don't I get a say in any of this? Silver asked. I'm barely holding it together right now. The stages of grief from my own death are just starting. What if something bad happens out there? That's where Ifris comes in, Charon said. You've already accepted our deal. Are you backing out? Do you not want to avenge your death to assure a peaceful afterlife? Or will you risk eternity in your own hell? Ah, I get it, Ifris said. You have a thing for Silver, so you're guiding their fate. Cute. Silver grew shy as Charon wrapped an arm around their shoulders. Every once in a while, a human comes along that has a uniqueness I can't ignore, it said. Sometimes something just tickles me about them. Either way, Silver has promise. Because I'm recalling so quickly, Silver asked. Not just that. Charon stood to look out of the window before closing the curtains. We'll get there. For now, it's time to devise a plan. It turned to look at Ifris and Silver. Are you both in? If you can make this happen where I go unscathed, then sure, I'm in, Ifris said. After a few minutes of silence, Silver nodded. Yes, I'm in. It was an act of kindness on Charon's part, after all. Not only that, but they liked Charon in ways they probably shouldn't, too. They grew shy again. Charon clasped its hands together. Good, let's get down to business. It gestured to the room around them. As you may already suspect, Silver, there is a natural law that cannot be broken. It's similar to the idea of manipulating the past. It's generally a bad idea. While I do have the power to fulfill our deal, which would involve briefly manipulating the past, there is only so much I can do. There will be little time before the higher-ups down here notice. Ifris furrowed his brow. Okay, so if you're so powerful, why can't you just give us more time? That's not how it works. Charon shook its head. Do you really believe that those in charge will remain ignorant? I may possess abilities that are impressive, but once you start tampering with multiple things in multiple places, someone will notice. So, naturally, our time is limited. Ifris shrugged. Fair enough. So how are we getting out of here undetected? Leave the finer details to me. Charon paused and looked up, its red eyes darting around as if following a spider crawling across the ceiling. Wow, that car was rude. Where was I? Sounds outside distracted me. Charon paused and looked up, its red eyes darting around as if following a spider crawling across the ceiling. It sighed. Unfortunately, it appears I have a new soul to attend to. Two, rather. Interesting. Wait, what should we do? Silver asked nervously. Ifris stood from his chair. Is there somewhere I need to be? And when? You can't just disappear on us with a half-assed... God, I've lost the ability to read now. And when? You can't just disappear on us with a half-assed explanation. Charon winked. Ye have little faith. No need to worry. I will slip in when the excitement dies down, and I'll find you, Ifris, so go about your business. It looked at Silver. Ifris will retrieve you when I give the go-ahead. Ugh. Kinda. I don't know. I forget. Sometimes I forget what I slipped in. I slip in things sometimes and then I forget why. I don't know. I've read this thing so many times, though. Silver grabbed their diary and tucked it between the stretchy hem of their jeans. They looked around to grab something else, but they realized there was nothing else of value to them. They were as ready as they could be. They caught sight of the mirror and paused before approaching it again, and this time, the spark of anxiety wasn't as intense. Their hands trembled as they stared at their reflection, but they were glad they hadn't blacked out again. It was becoming normal. Silver turned away to walk off the shakes as they approached the window. While looking down at the courtyard that had gained a few wanderers, they envied them for a moment. They felt like they'd been caught up in some unfortunate chance for a bit of mischief, and they considered backing out. A knock on the door brought Silver back, and they turned to see Ifris slip inside. He looked no different than before, save for the awkward way he held his arms outstretched. "Come on," he said. "We're going down to the courtyard, which will give us the easiest access to the entrance." Silver furrowed their brow. "Why are you standing like that?" Ifris gestured for them to come closer, and as they did, something strange drifted around them. It felt like cobwebs. "It's magic," Ifris continued. "Some of Charon's. It'll allow us to go unseen for a little bit, but this thing's fragile. It won't last long since it's only meant to be temporary. Charon doesn't want this shit just laying around for others to find." Silver nodded and followed Ifris out the door and into the hallway that curved toward the center of the building. "Hey," Silver said quietly, "what will happen when they discover we're gone?" Ifris grew uneasy. "We'll just have to trust Charon with that. It said it would alter the roster and switch things around for long enough. They'll find out eventually, but it'll be a while. Besides, the ones in charge don't usually check on souls themselves unless it's time to release them, or if something seems fishy." "Fishy? Like this?" Silver said anxiously. Ifris huffed. "Stop worrying about it. Knowing Charon, it bought us quite a bit of time. The sheer amount of souls down here is pretty big, especially recently." He guided Silver to a stairwell with ethereal blue lighting. "Something about a worldwide pandemic up top." Silver paused, causing Ifris to stumble. Another spark. A memory. "New Game Go news, folks," an announcer said over an intercom. "As you know, Japan finally released the PS2 last month, so we have to get ready and prepare the inventory for it to be released in the US. We're hoping it'll be here by October." Incomprehensible chatter. Excitement. "We also must prepare for the massive solar flare event. There's a huge one coming, and our systems will probably be screwed. It's supposed to affect the whole world, so be sure to shut everything down. We'll be closing that day just to be safe." "Hey, move," Ifris hissed. Silver shook their head and hurried to make up for lost time. Something wasn't right. "There wasn't a pandemic," they said. "What?" Ifris said impatiently. "There wasn't a pandemic. There was a worldwide solar flare, and the only thing it affected that I know of is electronics." Silver perked up. "I had a job. I worked with electronics of some kind." Ifris steered them toward the first floor. "Okay, good, but now isn't the time to make major recollections. Just hang on to that for when we're far enough away." A cobweb-like sensation in Silver's fingers sagged. "How long have I been down here?" Ifris paused as they felt one of the cobwebs snap. "Shit, okay, for you it's probably been..." They fell into thought. "According to your file, 20 years. Silver became winded as they wavered. 20 years? Now isn't the time, fucking Christ." Ifris wrapped an arm around Silver and pushed them across the courtyard and through the entrance. "This thing's starting to break. We have to get a move on." Silver fell silent as they made their way out of the front doors and across the way, past the main admittance office and along a worn stone trail that followed the river Styx. As soon as they slipped beneath the tunnel, with the building still in their eyesight, the magic finally disintegrated. "It had to make my job harder, didn't it?" Ifris complained as he fell back against the stone wall. He looked over at Silver, who watched nervously behind them. "We have some time. Just take a breather, I guess." As if on cue, Charon appeared in a flurry of musty shadows. "Good, you made it." "Barely," Ifris said, exhausted. "You couldn't have made it a bit more durable." Charon shrugged. "I don't want my magic lying around where others can get to it. I'd get an earful." Did you know it's been 20 years?" Silver asked. Ifris groaned and sank to the ground. "Another crisis." Charon glared at him and moved to wrap an arm loosely around Silver. They still hadn't progressed past the initial shock phase, but they were moving quickly regardless. 20 years. Silver stared wide-eyed at Charon. "I've been down here for 20 years. "Let me guess. Ifris just told you," Charon breathed. Ifris scowled. "You're the one who wanted to rush things, or did you forget that? I'm just speeding things along, like you wanted me to. Since I'm still their buddy system, no thanks to your blackmail." "Don't forget, we have blackmail on each other," Charon said. I realize we don't exactly enjoy each other's company, but for the sake of Silver, let's just work on basic tolerance. Yes, please, Silver begged. I'm doing my best and I don't mean to be a pain. I feel like I've just become a huge burden to you both. You're not a burden, Charon soothed. Don't let Ifris's attitude get to you. He's always been like this. We just have a history. Ifris shot Charon a warning glance before it continued. Which is between us. Maybe he'll tell you eventually. You're both going to become great friends after all. Not a fan of that either, Ifris said as they stood. So what do we do now? Start the walk? What's the walk? Silver asked. No better time than the present, Charon said. It'll be a bit before the administration discovers your absence, which should give you enough time to be long gone. And you know how time works down here. It waved a hand and an ancient, large hourglass appeared. They always find what's missing rather quickly once they notice. Ifris rustled their wild hair and gestured for Silver to follow. Let's get started. There's no real direction to go since everything will conform to what you personally need, so let's just go somewhere. Anywhere. Chapter 3 done. Let's see. We have read 33 pages. Yeah, it's, I'm not like, I'm not a well-known author. I'm not a streamer, so I figured it was like, not much was gonna happen, but, it was worth it. Maybe I'll start streaming regularly, which would be fun. So my next book release is gonna be my poetry collection. I would share some of that, but I don't really have anything up ready to share. And I'm sharing my desktop currently, so I don't want like private information to pop up by accident. Let me see. All right. I did a bunch of art so far for my my poetry book that I'm going to be doing, and I could share some of it, I suppose. Okay, this one. This is the one I'm planning to use for the cover. I want to use this for the cover of my poetry book. I think, yeah, this is the version where I don't have my author name or anything. This was like the just the plain drawing or whatever with the title, because I want it to mostly be hand drawn. And let's see, some other stuff I did. What was this one? This one I don't know what to do with. I was having difficulty getting this one to look how I wanted it to. Trying to find some stuff that's not too terribly triggering, because I have a lot of triggering art in here. Yeah, I did new backgrounds for like stuff like this, because like before it was like I had to make a grayscale to go in a book. So, but yeah, that's just some of the stuff I'm going to be using. A lot of the other stuff is pretty dark, but maybe I'll do like a stream sometime of me working on my art for my poetry book. That would be nifty. Doing some art. Even though like my methods of making art aren't like widely accepted, but not widely accepted. Widely, I don't know. I don't have a technique, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna get back to the book. Chapter 4 is where the spice picks back up again. So this is gonna be fun, because this one's a little... I mean, I feel like they get more explicit as it goes on, kind of. So, but I'm doing good at self-censoring so far. So, Chapter 4. Silver took the lead as they were pushed forward. The tunnel before them seemed to stretch on forever, and for a moment they worried it wouldn't change into something different. Ifris had said everything would conform to what was necessary for Silver to confront their death, but so far it was a whole lot of nothing. Silver hadn't a clue how long they'd been walking either, as Charon had made it clear that, time didn't really matter. 5 years? 5 minutes? Silver searched their mind for anything they'd uncovered recently that could help, and then remembered their diary. Oh, I should write down some things. Maybe it'll help guide us. Right, Ifris said, and watched as Silver leaned against a wall and pulled out the diary, readied the pen, and began to write. So what have you remembered so far? I had a job. I worked with electronics in some way, and I think video games. Yeah, that makes sense. They jotted a few things down. I keep getting flashes of a room. A tiled room, I think. Probably at my job. I can't see anyone's faces, though. They're all burnt out. Ifris nodded. I had the same problem, but I recovered my memories pretty quickly. As quick as me, Silver looked up. Ifris huffed a laugh. Pretty damn quick. I didn't really care that I was dead, so I didn't have a lot of shock like you do. I struggled with something in particular, but being dead tends to make some things easier to kick. Kind of. An itch Ifris couldn't scratch surfaced from somewhere deep inside, and he grew irritable because of it. Silver decided not to probe further and closed their diary. As they did, they looked back at the tunnel path only to realize an ending had appeared. It changed. And it starts. Ifris took a deep breath. Let's hope you don't have some wicked shit waiting on the other side. The light at the end of a tunnel, which Silver caught the irony of, revealed an open room with shelves scattered everywhere. Above glimmered a night sky, and it illuminated the gray walls that surrounded them. At the other end was an arch filled with mist, and it appeared to be some kind of portal with a warping image. Ifris sighed with relief. At least it's tame. Seems to relate to what you did for work. Makes sense, Silver said. They explored the room and observed some of the computer parts on the shelves, and they recognized a few ancient game systems that had started to corrode. My ADHD is really making this hard. My brain just wandered, far in the other direction, and I have no clue what I just read, so if it's, inconsistent, I'm really sorry. I'm fighting the ND brain here. A shuffling distracted them, and they turned around to see a tall beast with blue-gray skin. It had a round speaker, just like a phone receiver, for a mouth and 3 gray eyes, and each one was dark beneath to hint at a lack of sleep. It wore an open black hoodie and nothing else as it slouched over on the side of a twin bed, frantically tapping buttons on a controller. It appeared to be engaged in a video game on a tube TV. Ifris crept up behind Silver and spoke quietly. It looks like you have beasts to deal with. You'll likely come across several that are a reminder of a part of your life. Your first one will be easy since you have to start somewhere. The rest will unfold from here. What do I do? Silver whispered. It's not dangerous, is it? Ifris shrugged. No idea, but I doubt it. Most won't be dangerous unless you have some seriously fucked up people to remember. He glanced at Silver's neck wrap. Judging by your injuries, you'll probably encounter at least one beast that won't be so docile. The beast finally noticed them, but it simply went back to gaming. If you've got something to say, just say it, its voice crackled and reverberated through its speaker. Surprised by its submissive nature, Silver stepped forward to see what it was playing. They smiled as they remembered. What race are you playing as? They asked. The monster glanced to the side and mumbled, Orc. I've always played as a wood elf, Silver said and sat on the bed beside the beast, who slid over to make room. What class? We didn't come here to game, Ifris said, annoyed. We came here to figure your shit out, and quickly. Oh, so that's what this is, the beast said. It lowered the controller into its lap and turned to Silver. You're just using me. No, Silver scrambled to apologize. I'm not using you at all. I think you're interesting, really. We have a lot in common, it seems, but that's a given. I think you're pretty neat. The beast moved across the room as a ringing sound interrupted them, and its hand hovered over a wall-mounted phone before falling to its side. The calls won't stop. He's so demanding. Who? Silver asked as they rose from the bed. Something stirred in their mind, and they had a feeling they knew what was happening. All the signs were there. Work, isn't it? I don't know what that tone was. Work, isn't it? The beast nodded. They want me in for an extra shift, but I barely slept. Then maybe you shouldn't waste time playing video games when you could be sleeping, Ifris chimed in. The beast grew angry. You don't understand. I have to find some kind of joy somewhere. Because your life is going nowhere, Silver said before quickly adding, like mine. The beast nodded. This is all I have. Silver approached the beast and felt a shift, a revelation. I didn't even have a romantic partner. I was alone. The beast sighed and approached the bed once more, and the game changed. A scene appeared with 2 characters kissing. Silver recognized it too, and they glanced back to see Ifris watching. Please look away, they said. This is private. Ifris snorted. So you dated video game characters instead of real people? Yes. Silver drifted back over to the bed and watched the lascivious scene unfold, and they became uncomfortable. Another memory surfaced, and it wasn't one they cared to remember. It brought back a wave of shame, and they again pleaded with Ifris. Could you just stand by the portal? Why? What does it matter? Silver squirmed uncomfortably. You said I have to relive these memories to progress. I can't when you're watching something weird. Whatever. Ifris walked over to the portal and sat down beside it to stare up at the night sky. When Silver turned back to the beast, it was watching them. Just like Charon, its once sexless body had shifted to reveal its arousal, and Silver stood from the bed. Of course, warning, it's about to get very spicy. This is getting easier as I go, though. They now understood what Charon meant when it had mentioned the way things worked down there, that they would have choices to make. There wasn't any other way to progress that was clear, however, and Silver feared they would have to make another transaction. They had to confront their loneliness, the exhaustion from working so many hours only to barely make ends meet in a dead-end job. A sweet, self-induced release brought a moment of peace before it all started again, and it was the only way they could have it. They weren't brave enough to date anyone. They doubted anyone would have wanted them like that anyway. They were just a shy, socially awkward tech nerd. Is this my choice? Silver asked. They picked at their long black hair for something to do instead of meeting the beast's soul-deep stare. They glanced over at Ifris one more time to be sure he wasn't watching, and they were glad to find him messing with some handheld device he'd found. The beast stood, causing Silver to walk back. We can ease each other's pain, it said. Then everything will be fine again. I don't know, you're so... Silver covered their face with their hands. Big. You could crush me. What is your choice? The beast's phone voice crackled. What's the alternative? Silver asked nervously. You're stuck here for longer than I care to be, Ifris said as he came up behind Silver and gripped their shoulders. Seems you and I have a lot more in common than I thought. I told you to look away, Silver yelled. Ifris frowned. I'm your support, all right? And I get what you're going through. I didn't want to fuck my way through each revelation either, but there is no other way to go forward. You have some serious repressed desires, so it's time to confront the fact that this is how it'll go. Silver's breath shook as their pulse increased. Is it like this for everyone? They asked. Ifris shook his head. No. Every soul has a different journey, and everyone has different challenges to overcome. One of your biggest ones, it seems, is your inability to accept your sexual identity. You're insecure as hell, and it's obvious. I'm not desirable, though. Silver's hands covered their mouth as they looked up at the beast. Who would want me? Apparently Charon, Ifris said. He nudged Silver forward. I know it'll be awkward for you, but would it help if I'm here to guide you? Nothing sexual about it on my end. I'm just tired of lingering here, and I know a thing or two. Ifris grew uneasy as he looked off to the side, remembering something. So make your choice. There was no other way to go about it, Silver decided, so he looked into the beast's 3 eyes. I choose to move forward. That put things in motion again, and Ifris pushed Silver into the beast's arms as it lifted their body and tossed them on the bed. He followed close behind and kneeled on the floor, leaning on the mattress with an open hand. Grab my hand. Why? Will it be bad? Silver said in a panicked voice. They watched as the beast hovered over them with a hungry look in its eyes. And here's where the censorship comes in. And the thing below pulsed in anticipation. Ifris grabbed Silver's hand and squeezed. It's a little overwhelming at first if you're not used to the size, he said soothingly, but you'll get used to it. He chuckled. It's a beast, but it's not a beast, if you get me. The large creature worked Silver's jeans open and pulled them down with urgency. God. Okay, I said it would get easier, and it's not. But it slowed the pace as it ran its hands up their thighs. Silver shivered as goosebumps crawled up their arms, and they realized the arousal building deep within them had the same sense of urgency as it had before. Deep down, they wanted nothing more than to reach that blissful spark again. They couldn't let that part of themselves out, though. Not in front of Ifris. The beast worked its fingers between Silver's legs, and they closed their eyes to avoid seeing Ifris, but they squeezed the hand in their grasp as a sense of safety surrounded them. He would guide them. It was all okay. Breathe. My voice just died. Breathe, Ifris said gently as Silver's chest rose and fell with a deep sigh. Just keep breathing. The beast slipped a finger down there, and Silver gasped as pleasure spread throughout their body. The beast's free hands spread their legs and continued to prepare them, slipping another finger in as it... Yeah, I don't know if I can say that. A moan escaped Silver's throat, and they covered their mouth with a free hand. The one in their grasp squeezed again, and they realized they'd started to thrust onto the fingers that curled inside them. I'm just gonna stop censoring, there's no point. I marked the stream as mature. You really aren't so shy after all, are you? Ifris teased. I just want to get this over with, Silver managed between gasps. Or are you still in denial? Ifris said by their ear. Just give in to it. There's something inside you that wants to, isn't there? Was it there when you were with Charon? Silver remembered the way they'd melted when Charon entered them, and they'd fallen into the motions like it was natural. They claimed they didn't know what they were doing, but it was simply shyness that held them back. The feeling that had arisen within them was the same thing that threatened to break free now, and it was inevitable that Silver would become a slave to it again. I want it, Silver breathed. I hate it, but I want it. There is a gnat in my face. The beast moved into position and nudged inside. Silver tensed as it... Oh my god, I don't know if I can say that. I don't want to get banned. I know I said it would be funny if I got banned, but I really don't want to get banned. Let's see. The beast moved into position and nudged inside. Silver tensed. Don't tense, Ifris said. It'll be uncomfortable if you do. Just try to relax. Silver took a deep, shuddering breath, and their bodies slowly relaxed as they sank into the bed. Bliss consumed them as they were filled completely. Oh, God. Yeah, this book gets a lot more spicy as I go on. Can I say this? I don't know. Ifris said something very naughty before he caught himself and laughed awkwardly. His brute's only got one thing on its mind. Silver uncovered their mouth and slid a hand down their body until they... My brain is working slower than my mouth here. Silver uncovered their mouth and slid their hand down their body until they felt a light gathering of fuzz. And they caressed themselves. Their back arched as the beast circled its hips and moved at a faster pace, and something sparked in Silver's mind, but it wasn't quite clear yet. Silver shivered as their climax approached, and their own beast within them climbed up their thighs and into their stomach, and that threat of bursting filled them from head to toe. They gripped Ifris' hand that never left theirs, and they became a moaning mess as the beast kneeling over them became quick and rough. While in a lustful fugue, Silver brought Ifris' fingers to their mouth and bit one without thinking. They held their intertwined hands close as they warned of their approaching climax, and Silver's insides pulsed around the beast as that blissful feeling finally burst free. Their eyes shot open. A spark. The first memory. They dropped a small screwdriver on their bed and ran to the ringing phone in the kitchen. They hesitated as their hand hovered above it, and they considered ignoring it. Nothing good came from answering the thing, especially since they had very few friends, if any. Acquaintances and coworkers were better words. The phone stopped only to start up again. They sighed in defeat and brought the receiver to their ear. Hello? Dee, we need you to come in. I know it's Saturday, but we're short. Kev had a last-minute emergency and couldn't make it in for his shift. Again? How many emergencies is Kevin allowed to have? An emergency keg party, more like it. The guy was still in college and got more leeway than he should have, and Dee was tired of picking up the slack. Can't you call Lisa or something? The man on the other end of the phone pleaded. You're our best tech, Dee. Lisa's only good for basic repairs, and she doesn't know much about these new systems. Dee hung their head and the line fell silent as... Dee hung their head and the line fell silent as they considered their options. They glanced at the pile of bills on the barely used kitchen table, and they recalled the argument they'd had with their last roommate before he packed up his stuff and left. They needed the extra money, as little as it was, but they could always move to a cheaper place. Living so close to the beach did inflate the rent. Cockroaches and slumlords be damned, but they wouldn't have to struggle to afford food on top of the games that brought them solace. I'll pay you double, the man on the other line said. Fine. Dee didn't want to think about it further. The guy rarely offered to pay them that much for coming in, so it was best considering they needed a short-term solution to their money problems now. Just as long as I'm at home by 6. That would give them 5 hours of overtime, which should be enough to allow for rest in between spells of insomnia. You're the best, Dee. The man hung up and Dee grabbed their keys. They paused before slipping into their shoes. They couldn't go into work so tense. It would make the hours that much more unbearable. A few minutes' tardiness on overtime wouldn't be a big deal. They dropped onto the sofa and hesitated before taking a deep breath. They quickly unbuttoned their jeans, and then slipped a hand past the hem of their boxer briefs to work out the tension that never truly went away. Silver? Ifris hung onto the bed frame with one hand as he hovered over them. Hey, you with me? Yeah. Silver blinked hard and looked up at Ifris, a feeling of shame washing over them immediately. Oh gods, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that to you. Please forgive me. It's fine. Ifris smiled, but it faltered. Honestly, doesn't do anything for me. He stood and crossed his arms. You remembered something, didn't you? Silver nodded and sat up. They quickly fixed their clothing and hair. D. I think my name began with a D. Ifris handed them their diary, which had fallen on the floor. Good, that's a lot of progress. Some people get random sounds, others get words that rhyme. You got an actual letter, so write that down. Silver opened to the 3rd page and began to jot down everything they'd recovered. It filled about 1 page with their small handwriting, and they looked up at Ifris. I was a tech at a store that sold games, consoles, and other electronic things. My boss made me work overtime a lot, I think, and I was always so exhausted. I had bills to pay but could hardly afford them since my roommate left. Silver paused. I don't remember him, my roommate, and I don't remember where I lived, just the few fuzzy rooms I saw in the vision. It's about all I got. Ifris' eyebrows raised. That's a lot, actually, just from 1 orgasm. They laughed, although Silver didn't find it humorous. That's a weird way to recall things, they whined. The last part of the memory made Silver want to curl up inside. They definitely had some issues with sex they had to work out, which brought back something Ifris had said before. You said you had a similar experience here, right? While recovering your memories. Did you... They paused but didn't have a chance to continue. Let's get a move on, Ifris interrupted. This is your walk, not mine. It seems like the key to unlocking your memories is a good orgasm, so you've got an interesting time ahead of you. Silver moaned. Of course that has to be my afterlife, something so awkward and indecent. They slid off the bed, quickly redressed, and tucked the diary back into their waistband. I guess it literally knocked some sense into me. It's a type of shock to the system, it just happens to be a good one, Ifris said. He gestured for Silver to lead, and they approached the portal. The fog cleared and a forest path appeared. Interesting. Will I recall my memories in order? Silver asked. Ifris shrugged. I can't tell you for certain, but your first is usually the one that sets you on the path to your death. After that, your mind will slow back down and try to piece all the events together to understand. Eventually, you'll realize how you died. Silver nodded and chose silence over more questions. There wasn't a linear experience, it seemed, so all they could do was step through the portal. And that was chapter 4. Oh my gosh. I'm going to take a second because my voice is screwed. I can feel it right now. I am not going to be able... Like, I started trauma therapy recently, and I have a session tomorrow, which is going to be like an hour long, and I feel like I am not going to be able to talk. And that's when I'm going to need to talk. I might read one more chapter and then I'll have to quit, because it is getting to be a bit much on my throat that I barely use. Alright, I am going to have to take a very quick bathroom break, and I will be right back. Okay, I am back. I shadow fixed. Everything good. I think I'm just gonna dive right into chapter 5. And then after chapter 5, I'm gonna have to quit because my poor voice has had it. I think I'll probably try to stream a little more, though. I don't know what I'll stream. I might stream some games. I know I've been playing Baldur's Gate because patch 7 was released and I'm doing another evil run. I am on my way into Act 2 in the game right now, but, you know, I mean, the game's been out for a long time. I don't think people will mind if I just start streaming from, like, Act 2 or whatever, but, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll stream some and see where I get with it, see if I like it. Anyway, getting back into the book. Last chapter I'm gonna read live, which I like to do 5 free chapters anyway. I only put up 3 of this. I might put up 2 more on the site, but 5 is usually what I do as like an excerpt, because I feel like 5 chapters, if you're not interested in the book by then, you're not going to be interested in it. But all right, so chapter 5. This is one of the spicier scenes. I think this is actually one of the spiciest scenes in the book, so I'm probably going to have to do a lot of self-censoring here. Alright, chapter 5. We'll end with a bang, I guess. Silver stopped to rest against a tree, and Ifris had to backtrack. No time for resting, he nagged and pulled on Silver's sleeve. If you haven't forgotten, you've got a deal to keep, which involves recovering your memories as quickly as possible. I just got pounded by a beast the size of a damn giant. Can I at least breathe? Silver said louder than they'd intended. They realized they'd been rude and tamed their temper. I'm sorry, I'm a little sensitive, I guess. I didn't mean to shout. Ifris rolled his eyes and sat beside them. And here I thought you'd started to grow a backbone. I didn't ask for any of this, you know. Silver brushed some hair out of their face. The bandage on their cheek started to come loose and they smacked it back into place. Not that it even mattered, it was all cosmetic. I don't even know who I am, and my emotions are all over the place because of it. I mean, I know I'm shy a lot of the time and I'm quiet, but sometimes I just get so upset. Like right now, I want to scream. Ifris nodded. Yeah, I know that feeling too. He leaned back against the tree and stared at the cloudy sky. You ever heard of PTSD? Silver fell into thought and shook their head. Maybe I did when I was alive, but my head's pretty blank now, save for the stuff I remembered. Save for the stuff I just remembered. I probably had it before I ended up down here, Ifris said. I wouldn't be shocked if I did. I had other issues too, but they were never diagnosed. A moment passed before Silver looked at Ifris. He'd gone silent and his mood grew dark as he stared at the ground, lost in thought. Anyway, he finally continued, what you're going through now is kinda like it, the stages of grief. You know that much. PTSD is something that can happen after a traumatic event, when your mind can't cope, so it either tries to hide what happened somewhere in your subconscious, or it denies it and just carries on. Sometimes the denial just manifests as thinking you're fine. And you can appear fine right after it happens, even if you're blank. Death works in a similar way. Sounds awful, Silver said, but it makes sense. Ifris continued. After a while, you start to notice the depression sets in. Then you'll get irritable sometimes for no reason. You don't know what the hell's wrong with you. Then it lifts for a bit until it all comes back around, and you feel like you're losing your mind. Some people start seeing things, hearing stuff, having flashbacks. Going through the stages of grief like you are, like I did myself, is a similar process. When you climbed onto Charon's boat, Ifris paused and bit back a smile. And its dick. Oh, come on, Ifris, Silver whined. He laughed. You were fine then, right? Kind of. Silver took a deep breath. Oh god, there's a gnat in my face. Jeez, it like dive bombed my mouth. Kind of. Silver took a deep breath. They finally found some sense of calm again. I didn't really put much thought into things. I just went with the flow. Charon gave me 2 options. I just chose the most logical one. Then I ended up in that room, although the walk there and everything in between is a little hazy. I remember it, but it's like a dream. And that's the dissociation that happens too, Ifris said. It sinks in pretty quick after that. Silver nodded and hung their head. It was awful. I don't ever remember feeling so horrible, which is entirely honest because I don't remember much of anything. It's like a beast was inside me trying to claw its way out, but it couldn't. That explains a lot, Ifris said. Your beasts, so to speak, are just that for a reason. You probably felt emotions very strongly when you were alive, so all of the things you're going to confront led to your death, well, he grew tired of playing the therapist, even if it was his occupation in a way, so he stood and looked down at Silver. They're beasts because they really sucked for you. My voice is starting to go, so I definitely gotta quit soon. Silver stood too, glad that they felt rejuvenated again despite the somber conversation. They fell into step beside Ifris as he started walking. You know a lot about this stuff. About other people, they said. Is that why they assigned you to peer support? Ifris shrugged as he slipped his hands into small pockets. Maybe. I told them I didn't like people and I just wanted to be left alone, that I'd do anything else, but they seemed to think it would be good for me. I never really got along with anyone, I just went through the motions. A shadowed form appeared before them, and Charon came into view while leaning against a scythe. It smiled as the two came to a sudden stop. How wonderful, it exclaimed. You're starting to get along. I figured you would eventually. What was the alternative? Ifris snapped. I can't exactly run thanks to your blackmail. He narrowed his eyes at the weapon in Charon's hand. Charon, what the hell is that? It stood straight and looked at the scythe in its hands, swiping it once more before setting it to the side. Oh, this? A bit of fun. What kind of fun? Silver asked nervously. I thought you were the boatman, not the Grim Reaper, too. Charon burst out laughing. The Grim Reaper? He doesn't exist, Silver. Those are just stories humans tell themselves to have another reason to fear death. It spun the scythe like a baton, and the two in its path ducked out of the way. I like to mess with people sometimes, especially the ones who call me the Grim Reaper when they awaken at the drop point. Did I say that? Silver asked sheepishly. No, you had a different, more accurate idea of what was down here. It smiled. I'd reveal to you why. It's such a small thing, but maybe you'll uncover that on your journey. Ifris pointed over Charon's shoulder. Which you're interrupting, he said, annoyed. We were headed to the next memory. Oh, making progress. Charon fell into step beside them as they continued to walk down the path, which slowly formed into an old country road. Silver would have blushed had they been able. Yeah, definitely making progress, they mumbled. But I'm not exactly eager to find out what the next beast looks like. Ooh, you have beasts, Charon teased while twirling the scythe. Knowing the path you have to go down, that will only get more fun. And creative. Fucking pervert, Ifris said with a half-smile. Takes one to know one, Charon shot back. Or haven't you opened up to Silver yet? Silver looked at Ifris to find that he'd clamped his mouth shut. The time for jokes was done, and they figured it was good he hadn't taken the bait. Charon certainly loved irritating him. Talking for so long causing issues. Silver wondered if it had started... Oh, wait. Where did I leave off? Charon certainly loved irritating him, but the two had a history. That much was obvious. Silver wondered if it had started like theirs did with Charon, but they remembered the orange plastic bottle that Charon had pulled out back in the room. Something told them it was bad, whatever it was, and it was best not spoken of. Nothing further was said as a small house came into view off the side of the road. It was time to confront another memory, and so soon after the last one. Silver felt like they'd barely caught their breath, but Charon had made this a marathon rather than the paced journey it was supposed to be. Would Silver even be in one piece by the time they reached the end? No time like the present, Charon said cheerfully as it walked up to the door and opened it. Hey, this is Silver's responsibility, Ifris snapped. Charon ignored him and wandered into a small home that was a bit of a mess. It picked up some dirty clothes with the end of the scythe. A dress. Definitely not Silver's home. Silver walked in behind them and looked around at the wood-paneled walls and messy decor. Shuffling came from a small hallway, and Silver froze as a creature even stranger than the last walked into the room. I told you it was a bad idea, but you never listen to me, do you? A woman's voice said. She wasn't alone. In fact, she didn't even have the ability to escape the man she clearly despised. Their heads shared the same body. Holy shit, Silver, Ifris said in disgust. What is going on in that head of yours? Don't be rude, Charon said calmly. You can't take these things too literally. You should know that. Silver shook their head and backed away. There's no way. I couldn't even begin to entertain that thing. The man's head, tanned, short black hair, brown eyes, frowned, and the hand he controlled pinched the bridge of his nose. You're accusing me of things that are ridiculous, he said wearily. I've never cheated on you, not once. The woman, tanned, long black hair, dark brown eyes, scowled. Oh yeah? What about the way you were looking at them then? Maybe I should just saw your head off and attach it to them instead. Silver took a deep breath and approached the couple. Charon was right, no time like the present. Excuse me, they said politely. Sorry for barging in like this, but it's kind of important. The body, which was adorned in a white t-shirt and a pair of jeans, sat on a pulled-out chair. The man finally noticed Silver and smiled. Sorry you had to hear that. How can I help you? Silver ignored the woman's scowl. I'm not sure exactly. This is kind of awkward. The last entity I met gave me more to work with. The man fell into thought, but his partner interrupted by rolling her eyes. Now you're thinking about them, aren't you? She accused. Always thinking about someone else. She glared at Silver. Boyfriend stealer. Silver turned to find Charon and Ifris standing by the door. The two at the table started fighting again. A little help? Silver begged. This isn't working. Oh, it'll work, Charon chuckled. You just have to find the sweet spot. Nothing sweet about those two, Ifris said. Frickin' Nat. He leaned against the wall with crossed arms. I don't know if I can help you with this one. It's making my skin crawl, and that's saying something considering what I've seen down here. Silver turned back to the arguing couple, resigned. They decided to take a seat opposite the two and leaned on the table, chin in hand, and just watched the couple spit metaphorical fire. I can't even be polite to someone, the man said, exasperated. I'm your damned prisoner. You made a promise. That's why we're like this. The woman gestured to their body. You promised you'd never leave, and I told you to prove it. And I did, the man said. And you know what? I think I regret it. Hey, Silver interrupted. If you're so unhappy, why don't you just, I don't know, separate? I'm assuming by what you said, you were once separate. The woman puffed up. He's the one who has the problem, not me. I'm perfectly happy this way. She scrutinized Silver and stood, and then walked over to them and put her hand on her hip. You think you're so hot. The man stared at his guest with a silent apology. No, I don't, Silver said honestly. The woman pursed her lips, and then looked at her partner. She then looked back at Silver. Fine, I have an idea. What now? The man breathed. The woman smiled wickedly. Let's see if this little sheep is worth anything. She grabbed Silver and pulled them out of the chair to stand. They glanced over to see Ifris had uncrossed his arms, ready to move if need be, but Charon held out a hand. This was it then. Time to figure this one out. The man sighed. Is this really what you want? Is that what you really want? The woman nodded. I'll show you just how pathetic this little wimp is. Silver recoiled at the insult. Can I ask if there's no name-calling, please? See, the woman said. Wimp. I swear this Nat has a vendetta against me. The man shook his head hopelessly. We'd better give her what she wants or I'll never hear the end of it, he said. And trust me, I hear everything, even when I don't want to. Silver felt bad for the guy and resigned themselves to what they knew was coming. The woman smiled as she won the argument, and she unbuttoned her jeans. Here's where it gets very spicy. Like I said, gnat in my face. This is probably definitely the spiciest scene in the book. So, might have to do a lot of censoring. The man wrestled with the shirt, and it was thrown across the room to reveal a tan, flat chest with vertical scars that told of old stitching. Silver's hands trembled as they reached for the hem of their jeans, but the woman stopped them. Take it all off, she demanded. I want to see what you've got that's so great. Do I really have to? Silver asked nervously. I'm really insecure. The man shook his head. Not the right words. The woman scoffed as she bent over to slide her pants off, and when she stood again, Silver's arms froze in mid-motion. They weren't sure what they'd expected, but it made sense. The entity had both organs, and they wondered how this would play out. They could barely figure out how to pleasure just one of them. Ifris uttered an astonished curse word from the background, but Silver ignored it. Well, come on then. Off with it, the woman urged, and Silver had no choice but to obey. They slid out of their sweater and button-up and hugged themselves to hide their top surgery scars, but the woman moved their arms aside. I'm waiting, and I don't like to wait. Show me what you can do. Maybe you can start. I'll warm up to it, Silver said. They slid their pants down and stood once more, not daring to look down at themselves. They'd never been completely naked in front of another person before, let alone a conglomeration of two people. The man went to move forward, but his partner slapped his arm and grabbed Silver, dragging them over to the blue sofa. To a blue sofa. The woman sat the shared body down and pointed down. Have a seat. Silver tried to move, but their shyness won over. They hoped it would get easier, but being completely naked made it 10 times worse. They felt so vulnerable and open, and it didn't help that the woman was full of insults for them. At least she'd finally cut it out. How? They stammered. Sorry, my nose is running. The woman rolled her eyes and made a twirling motion with her finger, and Silver got the hint. They turned around and gasped as two hands grabbed their hips, and they kept their eyes on the ground as they hovered awkwardly in place. Something started to nudge inside, but slid back out to tease them, and their body responded like it had before. That is actually what I had written, thankfully. I didn't get any more descriptive than that. Silver bit their lip. I don't think I can read that one. Silver bit their lip as they felt pleasure in all the right places. Yeah, like I said, this is very spicy. This scene is, I can't read half of this. Not that I can't, but I don't want to get banned. Silver bit their lip as they were pleasured in all the right places, and a breathy moan escaped their throat. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad after all. The woman wasn't being rough like they'd feared, and the man seemed to have equal control. Silver then remembered the second organ and decided on a position change. They sat on the entity's lap. With their back facing them. That's the best I can do for that one. They bent forward to balance on one of the entity's knees and slipped 2 fingers below. The woman moaned quietly as Silver worked their fingers, and they grinded against... Like I said, I can't read half of this or I'll get banned. The woman moaned quietly as Silver worked their fingers, and they grinded against what was behind them. Their pulse increased as they fell into the motions, and they realized it came much quicker that time with a little less fear. It seemed getting into it was all they needed to do. Their body would do the rest. The man's arm grabbed Silver's bicep to give them support, and Silver relaxed as he held them in place. They then lowered themselves onto, you know what, that was too eager to be inside them, and as they gasped, they plunged 2 fingers into the woman. She stopped them for a moment and reached behind a pillow, pulling out a black silicone toy. Silver didn't hesitate to work it inside her as the man controlled the hips. The position caused him to go so deliciously deep that Silver arched their back, but as they did, they looked up and caught sight of the 2 they'd completely forgotten about. Silver snapped back to reality for a moment, and anxiety claimed them. Charon watched with interest, its finger trailing along its lips as it shot a suggestive stare Silver's way. Ifris leaned against the wall on his side, arms still crossed, but he glanced over to watch out of the corner of his eye. Silver knew it was a spectacle, a curiosity if nothing else, but they'd become a spectacle themselves. Something they never imagined, and all of the horrors they'd gone over in their head had happened. They were completely naked, impaled, and in a compromising position with everything on display. An extra hard thrust caused Silver to blurt out a moan, and they focused again on the toy that filled the woman. Something about being watched made Silver's stomach flutter in a way that didn't feel horrible, and they leaned into the feeling as the woman's hand crept down to pleasure Silver. They wouldn't last long, and they knew it. With the new kinky discovery, they were already approaching that wonderful high. They became rougher with the toy, and the woman squealed as the base smacked against her body in a way that brought her closer to the edge, too. The man's breathing became even more ragged, and Silver knew they would all fall together. That snake of desire writhed from deep in Silver's abdomen up to their stomach, and a powerful climax crashed over them. Another spark. Memory 2. Dee sagged in front of the TV as their roommate, Varden, Dee sagged in front of the TV as their roommate, Varden, flipped through the channels. A roommate is all he would ever be, unfortunately, as they had misread everything. He was always so nice at work, and the two had started hanging out. Dee let him use he/him pronouns for them as everyone else at work did, mostly because they passed well as an androgynous man. They didn't have the energy to explain being a non-binary AFAB person on testosterone. "Hey, Dee," Varden said as he pointed a tan thumb toward the kitchen. "Why don't you order us a pizza? I'll pay for half and we can watch the game together." Dee smiled and made their way to the kitchen, not mentioning that they couldn't stand sports. They realized they had absolutely nothing in common with the guy they'd fallen in love with, and they didn't even know if he was attracted to them anyway. He'd introduced his girlfriend the afternoon he moved in, so none of that mattered now. Dee hadn't known about her beforehand. Varden never mentioned her before. They realized, painfully, that the only reason they fell hard for Varden was because he was nice and caring toward them. Most people were passing acquaintances because Dee preferred it that way. Their social anxiety was bad enough without feeling like an alien among them, but Varden had become a friend. Dee had humored him by watching his favorite comedy shows that weren't even funny, just offensive, and they played his favorite games. They enjoyed some of them, despite the number of guns involved. Dee was also more than eager to pay for lunch while on break at work. Varden always wanted to sneak out to the bar while on the clock and not tell the manager, and while Dee wasn't comfortable... hair in my mouth. And while Dee wasn't comfortable with breaking the rules, they went anyway to make him happy. They wanted more than anything to become something with him. Hello, good evening. Thanks for stopping in. After ordering a large pepperoni pizza, Dee rejoined Varden on the sofa and realized they'd sat a little too close. They glanced at the man's face as he flipped through channels. Tan skin, short black hair, brown eyes, a white t-shirt with a black grid graphic and fitted blue jeans. Socks with holes because he was too lazy to buy new ones. Dee sighed and debated with themselves. They had to get it out, even if it would never work. There was no harm in just saying it out loud, right? Varden would just say no, and it would be awkward, but Dee could get it out of their system and just move on. They both needed a break on rent anyway, so they could just coexist as a convenience. Dee cleared their throat and nudged Varden. "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" "Yeah, sure, man. What's up?" Varden hadn't looked away from the TV. "Promise you won't get mad at me?" Their heart thudded. The man finally looked at Dee with a concerned expression. "Yeah, why would I be mad at you?" Okay, so a little bit of a trigger warning. There is a little bit of transphobia expressed by one of these characters, so if that's upsetting, just warning. "Oh, no reason," Dee said. Hypothetical question. "Would you ever date a transgender person?" Varden's expression shifted in a way that Dee did not like. The man laughed. "Fuck, are you dating one? Didn't know you were into cross-dressers, but whatever. Your life, not mine." Dee clenched their jaw. "They're not cross-dressers. They are who they say they are, and they deserve respect. And love, too." "Geez, I didn't know it was such a sore subject with you," Varden said as he leaned back into the couch. "Look, you can be into that kind of kiki stuff all you want. Just make sure I'm not home." Dee stood from the couch and approached the kitchen to head back to their room. They wanted to kick Varden out now, damn the bills. They paused as their roommate watched them with confusion, and when their eyes met, Dee uttered, "Transgender. I'm a non-binary person." Varden grew uncomfortably serious and stared at his roommate. "Wait, you? You're transgender. You don't wear dresses or makeup, though." Dee huffed a humorless laugh. "I was assigned female at birth. I take testosterone and I got top surgery. I use they/them pronouns. I don't have a gender. And I fell in love with you." They bowed slightly as they rocked on their feet. "So take that for what it's worth. Since we're roommates, figured you should know." The next night was spent in solitary silence. Dee curled up on the sofa and closed their eyes as they ignored the phone that kept ringing off and on all day. The answering machine on the TV cabinet beeped and asked the person to leave a message after the tone, but by the time it beeped again for the caller to speak, the tirade began from an angry woman's voice. "Pervert. Boyfriend stealer." that was chapter 5. I got a little heavy near the end, but the book slowly does get a lot heavier. So if you want to read the rest of it, but I did put some trigger warnings on the screen because I didn't want anybody to just pop in and be absolutely surprised by anything, but they're also in the book. But the book does get into a lot of really dark stuff, like drug addiction and like transphobia, homophobia. It's pretty intense, but it's not like extreme. There's no violence where that's concerned. There is violence, but in a more playful B-horror way, if you consider it playful in a way. There's a bit of a slasher element eventually, but I don't want to give too much away. But I'm debating if my voice can handle another chapter. The VOD of this, which is basically the recording of the whole thing, will be up on Twitch if you want to go back through it. I am going to go back. I'm going to trim off the breaks I took, and I am going to upload this to my YouTube channel if anybody wants to hear it read or whatever. This is not my first time streaming, but it is my first time reading spicy content publicly, which is not something I thought I could do, but I did it. I did some self-censoring. I didn't think I wanted to, but I did because I don't want to get banned or anything. But thank you for tuning in if you tuned in. My book, it's Only a Little Death, which the double meaning is definitely intended. It comes out today. It's out today, actually, is what I meant. Paperback's out. Kindle's out. I put in a cool little GIF. I know people say GIF, I say GIF. People are going to hate me for that. I tried to put most of the stores that it's in that you can find. The link is literally just little-death at carrd.co if you want to see a trailer, if you want to see more about it. I suppose I could actually play the trailer for you guys. I'll go ahead and play the trailer, because why not? I gotta pause it though, so I gotta turn up the desktop volume if you actually want to hear it. I don't know if it'll be loud enough, but we'll see. Prepare your ears.
God, I don't even understand what she's
Oh
saying.
yeah, you can't even see that. I forgot. I have the thing full screen. Maybe that'll be better. The afterlife isn't quite what Silver thought it to be. A forgotten name, no memories, and a grisly reminder around their neck. One thing was clear though. Paige Herond across the river Styx. But Silver had nothing of value. Well, might help if I turned off the music in the background. Something. And Charon was more than happy to oblige. Sorry about that. I forgot I had music on in the background. Yeah, I know that wasn't a good that wasn't a good look at the trailer, but let me pop a link in chat. Probably be easier. It's on my YouTube as well, but my YouTube and all that is actually linked on my Twitch About Me page. So if you want to find like links to my website, there's the link. If you want to find links to like my website, my books and everything, whatever, it's all in the About Me section on Twitch. Like I said, I am going to stream again. I don't know what exactly I'm going to stream. I am going to try to make it interesting, more interesting than this one. Like I said, I'm new at this. But yeah, if you tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in. My voice is about to go So I'm just showing off the last of the books page and everything here. If you click buy, it takes you to Universal buy page here. You can pick wherever you want. It doesn't show paperback yet because it was just released. You can find 3 chapters that you can just read yourself if you had trouble paying attention or for another reason or another. I might add 2 more. I read 5 today. There's a gallery here. It's a cool little animated book cover. There's a couple fun little things I posted, including a little wallpaper if you want one, to show off the really amazing art that Jamie did of the characters. Yeah, and then I posted a playlist. I use YouTube Music. The playlist is all, I can't play it right now, but the playlist for the book has got a lot of cool stuff. Some Tim Burton, because the book was really heavily inspired by Tim Burton vibes. My other socials are here. Also, I do like to say this and put it out there, that if anybody is ever having trouble affording books and you want to read my books, but for some reason you just can't access them, please send me an email or contact me on any of my socials. My email is like right here on the website, but you can contact me in all kinds of places. It's easy to get a hold of me. Let me know, and I'll give you like a coupon to get my book, any of my books, for free. Yeah, because I don't want cost to be a barrier to my work ever. I mostly write my books that have like mental health awareness. This book has a main character who is neurodivergent. More specifically, they're autistic. And I, of course, the main couple is, T4T, which is trans for trans. And I just want these groups of people to have access to my books because I know what it feels like to feel so alone, to not have books like this or to not be able to find them. I am not going to claim to be like the best writer these things. I do my best, though. I love my stories and I'm happy with them. I'm proud of them. So, but I do want my books to be accessible to people who might need them. So definitely contact me if you can't afford books or you're having trouble accessing them for one reason or another, and I'll get them to you. This one specifically, as long as you're 18 or older, though. This stream was marked 18 or older, so hopefully it deterred anybody underage. I don't think anybody underage is going to find it. But anyway, that's probably going to do it for my stream for today because my voice is going and I have therapy tomorrow. I will need to talk for an hour there. But again, thank you for tuning in. It means a lot. I'll do this again sometime. And I will see everybody later.